Hi, Freddie. Welcome to MovieJunk. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to welcome Emmy-nominated veteran stunt coordinator, director, actor to our show, and Freddie Poole. Thank you so much for joining. The fan in me really wants to jump right into Tulsa King, but I'd be doing our fans a disservice without taking a step back and just seeing sort of where it all began for you. If I'm not mistaken, you initially kicked off your career on Walker, Texas Ranger. Is that correct?
That that is correct. With another childhood hero idol of mine, Chuck Norris, who inspired me to start martial arts training, and somehow I was able to make a career out of some very humble beginnings on Walker, Texas Ranger. I did probably, oh gosh, I don't know how many episodes, but probably 7 seasons of of the show, television movies, spin-offs. I mean, those guys really took me under their wing, and I met so many people back then. We're talking 30 years ago. So I
Yeah.
met so many guys that are, you know, so well known today for being second unit directors and stunt coordinators and directors, guys like David Leitch, JJ Perry, Clayton Barber, and many more, many more. But yeah, Walker, Texas Rangers, where it all started for me.
And I imagine that you were probably a fan, growing up watching those old martial arts movies, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee. Was joining that set sort of just like a surreal experience? Like, could you believe that you're actually there?
It took a moment, I had to step back and sort of like gather myself because I grew up watching all the Chuck Norris movies, Bruce Lee, Kung Fu and Black Belt Theater on what were they Saturday or Sunday afternoons. So yeah, to be there was really just one of those things where I was like, I can't believe I'm standing here about to get knocked out by Chuck Norris. So.
So did you initially start off as a stunt performer? Like, how did you even get into the industry? Did you first start training to get into it, or did you sort of stumble into the industry?
Well, I kind of stumbled into it. I had a martial arts background, a very successful martial arts background as a competitor, and I knew I wanted to do something in the film business. I just didn't know what. And of course, when you don't have any direction, you're just like, oh, well, I'll just be an actor, But that process wasn't really for me. I gave that a go, and I was like, this whole audition thing and callbacks and constantly, traveling and the headshots and all of that just didn't really suit me. And I happened to meet a director at the gym, and he was a director on Walker. And I just approached him and I had asked, I said, hey, who's in charge of casting? And he said, why? And I said, I'd like to send my information in. He said, bring it to me. Now, he had already heard from several of the people in the gym that, hey, you got to check this kid out. He can kick straight in the air. He can do the splits. He can fight and all this stuff. So that fighting background really got my foot in the door because Walker was such a heavy fight show.
Yeah,
Heavy,
yeah.
heavy stunt show, really.
Hmm,
But
hmm.
so many fights. And again, I got in there and met the right people. Guys like Eric Norris, who was the stunt coordinator, who tafted me and took a liking to me just because I was actually one of the local guys that could actually perform. And that really, like I said, just kind of kicked things off for me. So I'm forever grateful to the Norris family, Chuck, Eric, Mike Norris as well, all those guys who are I'm still, close with to this day.
Hmm, hmm. And we did get Chuck Norris in the Expendables 2, I believe. So now I'm
Yeah,
assuming it's just a matter of time before he pops up on Tulsa King, right?
you know, Chuck is enjoying his life. Yeah, he's doing well. I mean, if he's not working out on one of his machines, I think now
Yeah.
he's, there's supplements. He's got a supplement line and spring water. I mean, he's doing his thing. It would be amazing to have him on the show.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm.
I will share one quick story. We tried to get um, him on the phone with Stallone. It was back during season one. I was able to hire Eric and Mike Norris to come on the show and I went to Stallone and I said, "Hey, those guys over there, those are Chuck's sons." And he said, "Really?" And so I brought them over, and they had a nice moment. And one of them called Chuck just to try to get him on the phone. He didn't answer, unfortunately. Um, and then he called back when it was too late because Stallone was already wrapped. But it was, it would have been a really fun moment to get those two on the phone right in the middle of the set. So,
That's that's amazing. That's amazing. I remember doing. I have a similar story. I remember doing an interview with one of our guests, and actually Sly called the guest, and he's like, "I'll get to that later." I was like, "You can answer it if you want. It's okay." But no, that's amazing, and I can't pivot away from martial arts because I'm also a huge fan of Cobra Kai, who we just
oh
wrapped up the
yeah,
final season. If I'm not
yeah.
mistaken, you also had a little bit of a part, I think, in the last season. Didn't you do stunts for William C. Ford, who we actually had on our show? Was that correct?
Oh, yeah, I sure did. I
Oh,
sure
cool.
did. It was funny how that all came about because I got a call. The stunt coordinator is a good friend of mine, and he called me and he asked me if I could cover the show for him for 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, yeah, no
Oh,
problem.
cool.
So I went in and helped them on the show, and it was amazing. Really just fun experience. And again, I was kind of the Karate Kid in my time when I was young, being one of the top students at my
Wow.
martial arts academy. So to be able to do that, and I just thought I was going to go and coordinate and then be done. And they said, "Hey, can you stick around and do this fight in double William C. Ford and do this fight with Ralph Macchio?" And I was like, "Are
Wow.
you kidding? Sure, why not?"
Wow.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun, for me to get in there and do that with that team. So, and really great guys, all of them. They're really really talented guys, from the stunt team to the cast. Uh, just amazing human beings. On top of being great performers.
Amazing. Yeah, hopefully we get some sort of spin-off from that show. I don't think that that version or that storyline is closed just yet, so that would be amazing to see that come back. I do want to pivot into Tulsa King, which you've been there since the very beginning, if I'm not mistaken, right? And you've been nominated twice now for two Emmys.
Two Emmys, two Emmy nominations. So we're two for two, season one and season two. And then, of course, we just wrapped season three just back just last month. Yeah, back in
Hmm.
July.
Hmm. And I thought last season, I mean, the additional cast that was added was huge, and Neil McDonough. We also had Rich Ting on the show as well
Rich Ting.
too.
Oh, amazing.
And so
Yeah,
we've
he's
had quite
great.
a few Tulsa, and he's a Bay Area native. I live in the Bay Area. We actually grew up not too far away from each other. But just see, I thought that was a huge addition. But this season is like twice
Yeah.
as much. Samuel L. Jackson. You guys got the T-1000 also on the show.
Yeah.
Kevin
Robert
Pollak.
Patrick,
Yeah,
Kevin
yeah. What
Pollak.
was that
Yeah.
like?
It was great. I mean, look, just building upon what we did, each season seems like we build on top of the last. And like you said, season two with Neil McDonough, Dana Delaney, we had
Frank
Frank
Grillo.
Grillo, who is great to work with. Who I doubled him in the past as well, which is so funny. We were reminiscing about that. So, but this season, yeah, even bigger. James Russo has
Yeah.
joined the cast, so
Yep.
it's going to be. Um, Really fun. I'm excited for everyone to see what we've come up with. Of course, I can't give away any details or spoilers, but it's going to be a heck of a ride. I'll say that.
Amazing, amazing. And I do want to jump back sort of when you first got the call to even join the show. I know you've worked with Sly
Hmm.
for, I think, better part of like 15 or 20 years. When he got cast on this show, was it sort of like a no-brainer that you were going to come on board, or how did you land, joining Tulsa King?
Well, basically, yeah, I've been with Sly going on about, let's see, yeah, about 15 years now, close to 15 years, and it's just sort of the evolutionary process. Because that's just I started doubling Stallone right around the same time I started coordinating. But those two paths never crossed each other. There's always a double, always a stunt double when I get the calls to work with Sly. And then on Samaritan, I remember talking to our producer, and just going back when you're a stunt double, especially one that has so much trust built and rapport built with your actor. Uh, your stunt coordinator kind of, obviously oversees everything, but your stunt coordinator kind of just says, "Hey, he's your guy. You go deal with him." And I do the same thing when I deal with actors like Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, we just had him on season 3. Well, his stunt double's been with him for 30 years.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I said, look, yeah, I'll go in and talk to Sam, but you're the guy, you're the conduit, and you go and relay, and that way there's that familiarity. And on Samaritan, which is a movie we shot back during COVID, it was like half and half. We shot the first part of it before the whole shutdown, and then we came back
Yeah.
after everyone went back to work and shut it, and then shot it and finished the movie. But I remember talking to our stunt coordinator at the time, and I said, "Look, and it's like he read my mind. I said, "Look, I've been doubling Sly for a long time. I enjoy it. I'll continue to do it." And he goes, "I know where you're going with this. Stop right there." And he just basically talked to Sly's producer at the time, who I had actually just met because he was new, and we hit it off actually, and got along great. And he's the one that called me,
Wow.
and,
Wow.
and yeah, and he said, "Hey, I was actually coordinating 2 projects at the same time when I got this call." So he said, "Hey, we've got this show in Oklahoma. We want you to come, not just be a stunt double, but we want you to run it." And I was like, "Oh, amazing." And again, they knew I had the coordinating experience. It wasn't my very first show to stunt coordinate, but it was the first one with him.
Yeah. Yep. What's that collaboration process like? Is it from my experience from interviewing guests, hearing him obviously speak on various shows, it seems like he's very involved in the creating process or creative process. Is that the case? How much input does a stunt coordinator have, or even a director when he's not the directing? Like, is it more of a collaborative effort, or is it sort of like Sly says what it is and let's build off that?
It's a collaborative effort. There are moments that, and what I mean by that is there are certain moments that he would like to see.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it doesn't mean that I want to see this specific beat, or move. It just may be a generalization, but it is something that, again, going back to that trust and that we have and that he has with me. There have been times when we get together and discuss the action, and again, it's sort of a whole collaborative effort on both sides between him and myself. And then there have been times when I just put something together and just show him, and he goes, "Okay, let's I like that. This is great. I like this. That right there, I don't want to do." Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
X that out.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. And case in point, our uh, in episode 9 of season 2, when that whole little shootout that was really quick, that was the note. He goes, "It should happen really fast."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, great. That's the note. I can take it and run from there. I think we'll be in good shape." So,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and then the same thing happened this past season. Again, don't want to give any spoilers away, but in season 3, I even said to him, "Hey, we should sit down and talk." And he was like, "Nah, you've got it." I was like,
Awesome.
"Okay, great."
Awesome.
So
There's trust. There's trust
yeah,
right there.
yeah, for sure,
There.
most definitely.
I did see actually in a previous interview that you did because we've also interviewed Cash Flow on the
Okay,
show, and I did see that you've also collaborated with him on ideas for fight scenes
absolutely. Yeah.
on there.
So
What's
that was one of the notes in season 2, episode 5, the big wind farm fight, between Ming's guards and Dwight's crew.
yeah,
The one note that I got from Stallone was, "I want to showcase Bigfoot." Great. And again, that's a general note. He didn't tell me what to do. He just said, "I want to showcase Bigfoot." I said, "Perfect, we can do that." So then that was just getting together with Cash Flow and saying, "All right, man, I know you got this wrestling background. Throw me some ideas. Let me know. Tell me what you like to do." I mean, and it was one of those things where, we had to just take the approach, and, it didn't need to turn into a WWE event,
hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
but we can implement some things that he likes and is comfortable doing and looks great on screen. And I think we accomplished that. And it was a lot of fun. He's so easygoing.
yeah. Yeah.
So laid back, easygoing. He takes direction well, um, and he puts a lot of effort into what he does.
Yep. Yep. We actually interviewed not too long ago a stunt coordinator legend in Rick Avery, who's been in the
Oh
business
yeah.
for several years. And I mean, really, I was just fascinated with wanting to learn sort of the creative process and sort of like, is there a scenario where like, have you ever told the director producer like, hey, what you guys are suggesting, can't be done, right? And he's mentioned that there have been some cases, and the ability to sort of pivot from that. Have you ever been in a scenario where maybe you've told Sly like, hey, that's a good idea. Maybe we can do it this way, or to someone to say, hey, like this just can't be possible. Have you ever been in that sort of scenario before?
I've been in both, yes.
Okay.
And going back to Rick, I have a lot of respect for Rick. I know he's doubled De Niro for many, many
Yeah.
years and in a lot of projects. We're in the same group. We're in
Oh,
the
cool.
Stuntmen's Association
Oh,
together.
cool.
Um, but going back to your question, yes, on both sides. I'm going to get with Sly and say, look, I know you want to do it this way. What are your thoughts about this?
Hmm.
And he's
Hmm.
open-minded. Again, it goes back to the rapport and trust that, it's not our first day working together. So he does, trust me. So there are those moments where I've said, let's do it like this. And this is why, because we're actually going to put the camera over here. Um, or it's been the other way around as well, where I've been
Yeah.
like, hey, we're going to do it this way. And he's like, nope, I want to do it like this and put the camera there. Like,
Yeah.
you guys heard him. Let's do it. Let's shift. But a lot of times during prep, because these directors that come in, they know the history that I have with Sly, so they will basically ask. Or there have been moments where they say, "Okay, I'd like Sly to do this," and I'll just chime in and say, "We can't do that,"
Nice.
and they go, "Oh, okay, all right," or even Sly 79. I don't
Hmm.
I don't want him to do full Rambo movie here, so I'll even limit the number of takes. Hey, we
Gotcha.
got it. Let's move on. We don't need to do it again.
So,
And it's not that I'm just throwing my weight around, but part of my job is to look after number one,
yeah. No,
and
absolutely.
yeah, and look after the show. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sort of shed light into the
yeah,
stuntman, and I mean the stuntman's the one that won the Academy Award for that movie, right?
yeah,
And Brad
yeah,
Pitt.
yeah.
But really, I mean, we have the stars of the films, the stars of the TV shows, but it's these movies and shows don't get created without you guys. They simply don't.
Well, what captures an audience whenever you watch a trailer? What captures their attention?
The
It's the
explosive
act.
scenes, the
Yeah,
action.
yeah.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. I say this all the time. I said it the other day, and I don't even know who I was talking to over the phone, but I said, look, go watch any trailer from any hit movie, and you'll see it's a lot of the action that captures your attention. Now, story drives the action. That we totally understand, and I take that approach with every sequence that I do and that we create. What's the story? Why is this person doing this? Why are they upset? Is it revenge, retribution? Did the guy step on my toe, or is he trying to slash my throat? My response is going to be different for, for those two scenarios. So
Yeah.
again, I'm just using that as an example, but story drives the action. But when you go really look at it, it's one of those things where we're finally, in my opinion, you know, getting the credit that our world deserves, by Oscars. We're getting our
Mhm.
first Oscar, I believe, in 2027. So, and those guys
Yes.
fought hard for that. It's a long drawn out battle to get that
Yeah.
going, and I'm very happy for our stunt community,
Hmm. Hmm.
and thankful for those guys that really put all that effort into making that happen.
Yep. That was announced this year. Me and Rick were actually
Yeah.
doing our interview, And we were discussing that during the interview. And then I think it was the next day, I was like, look what I just read. Is this true? And he goes, yes.
Yeah. Well,
So,
there you go. You guys
so
put it out in the universe and made it happen. So
we'll give Rick the credit on
there
there.
you go.
So I also too I'd love to hear sort of what was the most difficult scene to shoot between season one and season two, and do you think that season three has an even more difficult scene?
Well, I'll start with the latter. Yes. Again, I can't give any details,
Hmm.
but yes, we do have a more difficult scene than we've had in season one or two. Um, so you just have to tune in and find out.
Hmm.
But the most difficult scene, season one, season two, gosh, that's a tough one because it's not because of performance or anything like that. I just remember in our car chase, we had a lightning delay.
Oh.
So it had nothing to do with actually shooting. It was just now we're up against the clock because of time. We had a 3 hour lightning delay. So basically what that means is if there's a lightning strike within 6 miles, you're shut down for 30 minutes
Hmm.
minimum.
Hmm.
And if within that 30 minutes, if another lightning strike happens within 6 miles, that 30 minutes resets itself. So that happened to us, and we lost 3 hours of shooting in our car chase. I believe that was episode three in season one. So now we're up against the clock, and this is on a second unit that I'm directing. So it was one of those things where we were not just working in one area, we were working on different city blocks. So we were constantly on the move, and it was tough. It was tough, but
Yeah.
we did get through it, and thought I thought we put together a really great sequence there with that chase and crash at the end. So, um, but really, again, I haven't come across anything where it's been a challenge because of shooting or we're
Hmm.
waiting on you know cast or the lighting or none of that. It's always been weather related. So
Yeah.
that was the issue.
What's been your favorite scene in the last two seasons? Do you have a favorite scene? It doesn't have to be an intense, action, scene that necessarily that
Mhm.
you panned out, but just in general, what's been your favorite scene between season one and season two?
Well, I'd have to say the wind farm fight,
Yeah, that
from
was a good
season
one.
two.
That was
Yeah,
badass. That was
that
badass.
one. I'll throw in the festival fight in season one,
Hmm.
and because it's one of those. Both of those scenes have so many people involved,
Yeah, yeah.
and I really enjoy just seeing the melee. There's nothing technical about it. Either one of those. We're not doing martial arts. Nothing technical. You know, it's literally just a melee and a brawl. And I love the fact that in season one we used the bats, to make our point to the biker
Yeah,
gang. But then in season two, I said we should change it up. I don't think we should just use all bats again. And
yeah.
so we use some crowbars and some other things. So I think it just but it's really a toss up between those two. Um, Now I'll probably lean more towards the wind farm fight because I also directed second unit on that. In season one, we that festival fight that was just straight main unit
Yeah, yeah.
shooting day, but there was a lot going on that I had to oversee. But I got to direct some second unit in the wind farm fight, so that probably edges out
Hmm. Hmm.
between it'll edge it out for me between the two.
I've because Sly has been director, writer, actor,
Yeah.
wore many hats in previous films like Expendables and Rocky. So you'd see him do a scene and then jump behind the camera, see how it
Hmm.
looks and then give instructions. I'm imagining that you sort of done something similar on this show, right? Where you're doing a stunt performance, you've been the second unit director and gone and basically been behind the
Hmm.
camera. Like what does that process look like? I mean, that just sounds like it's intense to
It
do.
is. It is intense because you're wearing many hats and all eyes are on you.
Yeah, yeah,
You're in front of the camera performing, and then yeah, we have our first AD calls cut. Then you run behind the monitor and watch the playback, and
Hmm.
we give notes of whether or not it's a performance thing or maybe we want to move the cameras. But no, it's not easy, but for some reason I just enjoy it. I don't know if it's the
Hmm.
pressure. I don't know if something's wrong with me,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
really just enjoy and almost thrive in that kind of high pressure, intense environment.
Hmm. Hmm.
It doesn't feel like I'm working.
It's probably in your DNA, and you can't
I
do what
think
you're
it
doing
is.
without having that sort of pressure in your DNA.
I think it is. I think it is. And because it's something that I look back on and I get asked that question all the time. How do you do it? And I scratch my head and go, I don't know. I just
Mhm.
go in there and do it. But I
Yeah.
enjoy it. And it's not like I'm pounding my fist on the pavement and, cursing at the gods and saying, somebody help me here. No, we're just out there having a good time. And I enjoy every second of it. So, um, yeah, it's got to be in the DNA.
I know you probably can't say much, but what can you share about Nola King? Is that slated to come out? Is there a release date? Are you going to be a part of that show as well? How much is Sly going to be involved? Whatever you're allowed to say, we'd love to hear.
Well, I wish I knew more. I don't really know much. As far as the only thing that I do know is I'll be shooting season four.
Awesome. So we're
So
already renewed for season 4 as well.
yeah. We're gonna start. We don't have a hard date yet, but we'll be kicking off fairly soon. And I know Nola King is going to start up shortly thereafter. So I unfortunately won't be, uh, a part of Nola King just because I can't be in two different cities at one time.
Hmm. Hmm.
But whoever does do it, I'm happy to give them any advice and share any feedback that I can. But yeah, that's as much as I know is that they'll be shooting, not starting at the same time, but Nola King should start shortly after season four, Tulsa King kicks off.
Yep, yep. I do want to also pivot because we do have a lot of aspiring writers,
Mhm.
actors, now hopefully stunt performers, act people that want to get into the industry. If you can speak to the, you know, 1992, 1993 version of yourself, when you're joining, Walker, Texas Ranger, what advice would you give to your younger self or someone that's looking to get into the stunt coordinating space? Something that you would do differently now to sort of, pivot. It's also a different time now
It
versus
is.
what it was then. So, what advice would you give?
I actually answered this question not that long ago because I do get asked this quite a bit. Um, I won't say you need to know every aspect of filmmaking inside and out, but I will say if looking back, and I tell the young stunt guys this, I mean, I would shoot a fight scene on Walker, and as soon as we cut and I had a break, I'd just go over to Crafty. It was my favorite place to be, the Crafty table, eating all the snacks, right? Because you're young and it's free. So I would learn about every other department and what they do, ask questions in a nice way. Don't, if I've got a key grip who's right in the middle of working, I'm not going to go bother him and go, hey, what's that piece of equipment called? And why are you guys doing that? Those guys are working. Let them work. But when there's a moment, learn about what other departments do. Learn about lighting. Learn, and the gaffers, learn what they do. Hair and makeup. What's so important about hair and makeup and wardrobe? Well, we want our cast and our, performers to look good on camera or look a certain way.
Hmm.
Maybe it's a
Hmm.
period piece and you're working in the coal mines, whatever. But it's there's so much information out there and so much that you can learn that it's a never ending process. It's like martial arts.
Yeah, yeah.
Martial arts is a never ending process. You could
Hmm.
learn your entire life and still not learn everything there is about martial
Hmm.
arts.
Hmm.
Same thing with filmmaking. So learn the different aspects. And from a stunt coordinator perspective, that's helped me out so much because I communicate with all those different departments when it comes down to breaking down my stunts and what we're doing
Yeah.
and how does that affect each and every department.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
I want a synergistic environment. I don't
Yep.
want to butt heads with anyone, so I want to be on the same page with my special effects team, with my with my props team, with set deck, and every other department. And I think this is part, my success and the success that I've had is partly due to the fact that I just don't communicate with those people,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and people notice that.
Hmm.
People do. So that would
And
be my advice.
and Frey, are you ever planning on making some of your own projects,
Yes.
pursuing your own projects? Just all this experience that you have, would love to hear sort of, when that is potentially going to be, slated for you to work on. Is it after Tulsa King season 4, or have you already started working on your own passion projects?
We've already started. I have irons in the fire. I have my hands on a few things, and this is stuff that that I've been working with writer. I won't say a team of writers, but I'll say a group of writers that I'm working with on different projects that are all unrelated. And I've had conversations, with some, I'll just say, important people. So yeah, my goal is to direct, get in the director's chair. I'd love to produce. So um, these are things that I'm working on. I had a friend of mine come and stay with me in while we were shooting um, season 3. And when I got off work, I went home, and he was there, and he just watched me, and I was on the phone from the minute I got home till right before I went to bed. And he watched this for 2 or 3 nights. Because obviously when I'm on set, I can't work on my own
Yeah.
personal stuff, right? So I have to do it
Yeah.
on my downtime. And he asked me, he goes, "Do you ever stop?" And I go, "Yeah, about to go to bed." So that's when it stops for me. But yes, I have some irons in the fire. I'm hoping, 2026 is one of those years where we can finally get get to it and make some of those things happen.
Awesome. Well, we'll love to obviously promote them on the channel. I always like to leave, some room for round 2, and hopefully we can have you on our show many more times as well. I do want to be respectful of your time, but I always love to leave off, or actually leave the last question for whenever you're not working. Whenever you're not working, what are some of the shows that you're binge watching?
That's a great question. Um, I mean, what's popular right now? The whole Taylor Sheridan universe, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Landman's awesome. I love the Landman show.
I enjoyed Landman. Mobland was another one that
Oh
I
yeah,
really
oh
enjoyed.
yeah,
Now that's Guy Ritchie and the UK side of 101.
yeah.
Those I thought Mobland was really good. I really enjoyed it. And that's pretty much been. It's funny. I don't get to watch. I think because I'm so involved in some of the things that I have going on that I'm trying to get off the ground that, sometimes I forget to go and, hey, you need to sit down, and because it's actually really good to see uh, how other shows are made. The
Yep.
Penguin. I loved The
Oh
Penguin.
yeah.
I thought that was so very well done.
Brilliant. Brilliant show.
Yeah, yeah. So um, I don't know if they're doing a season 2. I hope they do. I haven't seen or read anything about it, but so that was one that I really, really enjoyed.
Mhm.
Lioness, I thought was good. Again, we're talking about the whole
Yes.
Taylor Sheridan
Yes.
universe. So, but yeah, it's I sometimes need to just take a moment and breathe and go, hey, go watch something, and just and again, I sometimes need to just take the filmmaker and filmmaking side out of it, because you don't enjoy it when you watch it from that perspective. You're not allowing yourself to enjoy it, because you're looking at the lighting, and you're looking how shots are designed, and you're not really following the story at that point.
Hmm.
And sometimes I've had to go back and watch something twice just so I go, okay, take a breath, forget about movie making, just watch this thing and enjoy it, and
Yeah.
that's it. So
Absolutely. And Freddie, there are so many more questions that I want to ask you, and I'm really enjoying and just picking your brain. But again, I think it's a perfect time to save it for round two.
Okay,
Hopefully we
I'd
can
love that.
hopefully we can collaborate again at the end of Tulsa King season three. I just feel like this season's going to be unbelievable. But I really want to thank you for coming on our show, sharing your stories. I know fans, and I believe September 21st is the release date, correct?
That's correct. September
Season three?
21st. Everyone mark your
Awesome.
calendars.
It's coming up really, really fast. So we're excited. And I just want to thank you on behalf of myself, our fans, for coming on our show, and really looking forward to collaborating with you in the future again.
I look forward to it as well. We'll definitely do it. Thanks, Zia. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much.